All right, hello, good afternoon. With the quorum being present, I now call to order the July 24th, 2025 meeting of the Hudson River Park Trust Board of Directors. Please note that the meeting is being shown live via Zoom. It's all being recorded and the video will be posted on the trust website, and a stenographer will provide a transcript of the meeting. Directors have received the agenda materials in advance of this meeting and are free to ask questions or comments at any time of the action items submitted for approval today. Please note, however, questions or comments from the audience will not be entertained at this meeting. I note that the board memos and resolutions on today's agenda have been posted on the trust website, and the link entitled Board Meetings, Bylaws, and Other Materials under Board Agendas and Minutes, and thus are available to the public. There are 3 items on the consent agenda. 1, approval of minutes and ratification of the actions taken at the June 5th, 2025 meeting of the Hudson River Board Park Trust Board of Directors. 2, ratification and approval of contract with Preferred Outdoor Experience LLC, doing business as Green Chasers, North Jersey, for goose control services. And 3, authorization to amend contract with Gilbane Building Company for Pier 97 and Gansevoort Peninsula Construction Management. Unless anyone has any comments, I will now call for a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the motion's approved. Please note that there's no corporate action before the board today. Additionally, there's no advisory council report or Hudson River Funds report at today's meeting. Therefore, I would now like to ask Ms. Doyle to present this report.
Thank you. So I'm not sure when it's not busy season in Hudson River Park these days, but July is definitely not that much. For one thing, we are enjoying the annual injection of seasonal staff that we get every year in our horticulture, public programs, and river project departments. This year we have a total of 32 people. That is roughly around 90 people normally, and that is a big change in the dynamic of the office, and it's really fun to see young people everywhere. We provide seasonal employment opportunities for young people sometimes who are interested in changing careers, sometimes retired people. This year we have 10 people in Hort, 10 people in River Project, and 12 people in our public programs department. We also have 4 summer interns in our legal department. You want to stand up? They all just finished their first year of law school, and they are all doing a huge amount of legal research and drafting assignments and hopefully learning something about FOIL and
You gotta know.
nonprofit, the government sector, litigation, public procurement, all kinds of things. And they've been really amazing, and we're grateful.
You really helped us on Mariah Lopez
It's fun.
They did the research.
Welcome.
Always busy in the law department.
That's right.
And we are also hosting a complement of 15 high school and college students in our annual Includes initiative, where we recruit students from high schools and college and traditionally underrepresented students, underrepresented in STEM fields, to participate in immersive science and science research. There's so much more we could say about this, but basically, suffice to say, it's exciting, it's uplifting, and it really does help the park keep everything clean and safe and beautiful and fun for people. So on the topic of fun, you all know that we have extensive public programs distributed throughout the park. It's amazing to walk around and see people exercising and learning and fishing and dancing and listening to music. During the week of July 7th alone, just 1 week, our team produced 12 public events, including this one, which was the kickoff to Broadway by the Boardwalk with Miss Jennifer Holliday. It attracted more than 1,000 people. And I think we had even more this past Monday for John Lloyd Young's performance. And Robert sent around some press clippings for you just before the meeting. This series in particular has gotten just extraordinary press coverage. I think it rings a bell for people. And you know, it's really expensive to go see Broadway performers. And these are not Broadway shows. It's A-list Broadway talent performing sort of from their solo careers and otherwise. And it's a beautiful use of the Clinton Cove section of the park as well. We've been getting generally great press all summer long. We got a wonderful long feature on Univision for Sunset Salsa, a real long feature. We're getting 1,000 and more people for that every night. That generally builds to sometimes as many as 2,000 people, and that's on Pier 76. What's interesting this year is that the weather has been like this a lot. You know, days where you think people would stay in their air conditioning more if they, if they had a choice, but they choose to come out to us and to dance and listen to music as well. So it's just great to see the hard work that Roberts and Roberts teams put in, and Rob's teams also put in to keep the garbage cans emptied and everything else after we attract people. So it's good.
Can I just give a special plug? So I live 2 blocks from here. It probably doesn't surprise you to all know I'm a Broadway fan, and this program is just delightful. Have been to the 2 of them already. And huge factor for the prop of partnering also with City Wine. So you can City Winery, so you can get a drink. They have cheese plates. Also, like it's a really awesome program.
Yes,
And
this is our second year doing this, and it's easy to imagine this sort of becoming our version of like Central Park, something or other, right?
Mhm.
It's nice. There's room for more people to come. It's inherently size limited by the configuration of the space, but we've got room for more people.
I like that it's logistically a little simpler than the dance. program. I hate
It's a
to
lot
say it,
easier, yeah.
But simpler, like a couple drops of rain and you can't be in a toe shoe. And,
Exactly,
Right.
yeah. So this. is
I
the
mean,
kind
no
of thing-
offense to the ballerinas.
So at the end of the season, you know, we're not gonna talk about all the events here that we could tonight, but that's the kind of feedback that we'd like to get at the end of the season. We can talk about the different events that we've done and, you know, why we do them, what's good about them, if anyone has observations about things we should do for next year. Good feedback. So our river project team is also busy. Summer field trips are in full swing. In the first 2 weeks of July, we had almost 500 students, ranging from kindergartners to undergrads, and we had a special program with our partners at Hudson River Community Sailing as well. Last week, I attended our Back to School Fishy Fundamentals program in the Wet Lab as part of our Science After Dark series. This is where you can come and actually have a beer while you learn or you watch a dissection. And believe it or not, you know, most of the audience for this are people in their 20s that are there actually sort of like enjoying science and learning about fish. And that's my little picture of the seahorse. That came out of a trap that our team caught on site at that program. And it just blows people's brains when they see a seahorse come out of the newspaper. And it is, you know, our animals and what we do with our animals, and this is relevant for our future estuarium project as well. They're the very best ambassadors for what we do with respect to showing people that this is a valuable resource. And so all the work that our river project team does, research as well, but just exposing people to the fact that the water that looks brown is actually a nationally important environmental resource. And frankly, our reason for existence, right? So, okay, and among other things, right now it's Crab Week.
Sure is.
It is our 3rd annual Crab Week. And this is something that our team, our river project team came up with, inspired by Shark Week. We don't have sharks, but we have crabs. And so we have been working, and our river project team really does this in collaboration, actually, I would say with friends as well, with some of the staff at Friends. They create these unbelievably creative things every year. Last year we had original crab jingles. You know, what kind of crab are you? What personality are you? This year we have crab libs. Sign up to take those. And next slide, we have the clawings on about town. So we have Crabigail, who has been showing up at some of our iconic New York City attractions, NYC Ferry, the High Line, Central Park, Market 57 here. We've been posting videos on our social media. We have these great collaborations with these other partners who are cross-promoting. We had a tap dancing crab to open our Broadway performance on Monday night. Again, it's all fun, it's all kind of very cute, but it actually makes people aware that we have these important environmental resources right here. So I shout out to this. No, we know who Crabigale is.
But she doesn't necessarily want.
Crabigale is not a crabby person, I might say. It's a person with a big smile.
Crabapple is a concept. You know, multiple people have been Crabapple. We have our one main actor.
Better protect her identity.
Yeah.
Not eating crab in that picture, is
She
she?
is. It's a crab roll.
Because.
Oh my gosh.
Crabs-
Very.
Look at that.
Well,
Look,
there's
big
contingent
crabs,
set
they're-
of a blue crab's diet is other blue crabs. So it is.
It's scientifically accurate.
So, but actually, this is very relevant because today we've been working on building a partnership with WNYC and the Radio Lab podcast series. So today, actually, one of them came out, a special edition focused on our wet lab and crabs. And actually, the reporter was interviewing people, our team, about all the different types of crabs. And I learned that as soon as a blue crab's eggs hatch, the blue crab will start eating its own offspring.
Hungry, that's it.
It's no ACS crab. So that's not a good plug for Crab Week.
That is the only crab that does that. Most of them are not.
You gotta listen to the radio lab. I sent you the link.
Yeah, we should stop, we gotta listen to the radio. Is what it comes down to.
Yeah, oh, it could be. Well, kids, like, so this was a program focused for kids, and this is the kind of thing that. But there were kind and gentle crabs that decorate their shells too. But we've got other partnerships happening with Radio Lab this summer as well, and including a special Science After Dark event in the Wet Lab coming this fall. So it's another fun thing that we're working on. So unless there are more crab puns or anything else like that.
I do think whoever came up with celebration deserves a gold
That's a
star.
good one.
That's very well done.
Well, the clawfish video, clawfish?
Clawfist, the clawfist.
The clawfish video that we have of our staff in the crab costume typing and things like that today, that's another good time. Okay,
Everything's at stake.
all right. So on to other business, procurement updates. At our June meeting, I informed the directors that we had entered into a new food and beverage contract with Mavic Enterprises doing business as Hudson Plate for the new concession at Gansevoort Peninsula. That same request for proposals for food and beverage concessions, which was issued on January 6, 2025, also included a concession opportunity in Chelsea Waterside Park at the little facility in the top right. And subsequent to the last meeting, we completed a concession agreement with the New York Picnic Company to operate that concession through the end of this year with the option to extend the term for 2 additional one-year terms. The base fee for this year is $2,000 given the short season, but the base fee will increase to $6,500 and $7,500 for years 2 and 3. And the concessionaire will also pay the trust an additional fee of 10% over gross revenues of $120,000. Both of those concessionaires at Gansevoort and Chelsea Waterside are in the process of applying for their permits to operate the food concessions. And in the meantime, they're doing some pop-up limited food and beverage options. Right now, we just saw people happily buying water at the Gansevoort concession on our way out here today. Also, for a number of months, we talked about the fact that we were working on what to do with the youth baseball space at Pier 40. I'm happy to say that we've conditionally selected somebody for the Pier 40 youth baseball facility operator in response to the RFP that we issued on March 21st, 2025. Through the RFP, we sought to provide the public with affordable year-round youth baseball programs and indoor youth baseball training activities at scale and accessible to the general public. In lieu of paying rent, respondents had to demonstrate that they would be able to provide a substantial community benefit to the public on a continuing basis through the term of the permit. We have a selection committee that includes staff from our real estate, education, and public programs departments. They interviewed the proposers and based on the information that was provided, recommended selecting the Pier Park and Playground Association, known as P3, which has been the current operator of the premises. They have reconstituted themselves, they've significantly filled out their board, they've made a number of operational improvements. We're very satisfied with the quality of their response. We still need to issue the permit to them, but subject to successful negotiation of the permit terms, we expect that the new permit would take effect about September 1st, and if all extension requests are approved, that permit would then run through December 31st, 2030. I'd like to thank Michael and Pam in particular, but I talked with a number of directors about this over the months. Anybody have any questions?
Sounds like a great resolution.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great
Yeah.
idea.
No, we actually do think it's a good resolution, and I think P3 actually thinks that it caused a lot of fear, but it caused them to actually look internally at something that they hadn't done for a while, and I think they recognize that there are benefits to the process too.
Congrats.
So Gateway Tunnel construction within the park has also officially begun. Amtrak took formal control of the southern portion of the heliport premises on July 7th, 2025. Current activities are limited to geotechnical and other site preparation work to be followed by fuel storage, tank removals, and partial relocations starting very shortly. In the meantime, we are now meeting one or more times a week with Gateway, the Port Authority, Amtrak, and Gateway's design build contractor. We're discussing plan, means, and methods for tunnel boring, all the associated logistics, the relocated bikeway walkway during construction, all kinds of other things. Obviously, we are bringing our own knowledge of the park and bikeway users to the discussion. And I would say that we're aiming to minimize the impacts to the park to the degree possible for a very, very and critical regional transportation project. While the logistics are, sorry,
Oh, and what's the timetable?
it's a roughly 4-year timetable.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if that means everything is done or.
But in the
is that
park.
gonna-
It's
Oh,
not, yeah, in the
the-
park,
the
it's
park.
4 years.
And where is it in the overall scheme of things, for the tunnel?
So
Beginning or-
they're doing work in New Jersey now. They've actually started relocating, shifting lanes on the highway. They're working on the shaft that will be on the eastern side of the highway opposite the heliport. They are no longer planning a shaft in Hudson River Park, but there's extensive ground freezing that has to happen, as well as pile removal, ground freezing in the water and on land in order for the tunnel boring machine to be able to safely go through. So they're working, it's a design build project, so they're working on revising and finalizing means and methods right now. And we're learning about the selected contractors, revised or evolved means and methods. And trying to poke at things around the edges, including reminding people that, the bikeway is the busiest one in the United States and other things like that. I will say that the Gateway team has been very, very responsive. And that the process that we've got in the works right now basically includes sort of mini task forces, we're calling them, where there's a team of Gateway and government people, us, and the relevant people on design build team to go deep on issues like historic bulkhead monitoring, which I can't contribute much to, but which our engineers can, because that's part of the obligation for this. So we have sort of specialized groups in various areas looking at how this will roll out.
And one last thing,
Yeah.
just about the overall project with funding.
Oh,
Is it,
it's funded.
but will it continue to be there?
It seems like there were maybe at the very beginning, I think it sounds like there were concerns, but right now it seems like they've awarded a lot of contracts and it does not seem like
And,
people are disagreeing that this is critically important.
and I think with Andy Byford now heading up a Penn Station redevelopment vis-a-vis the direction from the White House, I think that ties nicely to the fact that hopefully Gateway actually gets completed this time.
Did I miss, the heliport's closed while there?
No.
No, I didn't
The
think so.
southern portion of the heliport is being used as the, the nexus of construction for the work that the rest of it's operation.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Does that mean reduced helicopter operations?
Not necessarily, it sort of depends on, you know, what their operations are, but it's probably some reduction, but it's not an absolute requirement. And part of it depends on how they end up doing their construction work and what the FAA says, if there is anything at all. But at the moment, it doesn't sound like the FAA is likely to need to limit helicopter operations based on the nature of the gateway up in construction. So there's another big project that we're also working on at the south end of the park, the Battery Park City North Resiliency Project. And that will occupy, we've heard me talk about this before, that's their flood wall project. It's bigger than Hudson River Park, but the portion of it in Hudson River Park is also a multi-year disruption. We have notified the Army Corps and Department of Environmental Conservation that we are okay with the proposed dimensions of their expanded waterside platform in the area between Pier 25, their property at near Stuyvesant High School. But they too have a design build contractor, and they too have to come up with a lot of permits from the State Department of Transportation, City DOT, very definitely City Department of Environmental Protection for all of the measures associated with the flood control measures. And that's all in process. And there are a lot of approvals that still have to happen. And some of the DEP requirements, for example, are going to influence what happens in Hudson River Park with respect to connections to the CSO and so forth. So we don't fully know yet exactly how all of those things shake out, but basically we are being very clear that just like with Gateway, we need to be deeply involved in the planning for temporary relocations of paths and other things like that. We know ourselves, sometimes extensive construction, depending on where it is and what it is, does require a really radical temporary closure of some park area. But we want that to be as limited as possible and as short a duration as possible because it's a really heavily used section. So I would say that the model for Gateway, where we're going deep in detail, is one that we would like to try to bring to the Park City process as well. Any comments or questions here? Okay. Also, sort of in this general vein, the Army Corps of Engineers. Yes.
The hat study, has that just sort of, oh, is that?
Yeah, literally, just a couple of weeks ago, they, we weren't sort of expecting it, but they announced that they would be coming out with the next sort of phase of that. And it was just published today. I don't know, Nick Mellon, our new attorney.
Staff attorney. Essentially, Army Corps of Engineers is going to be focused on 3 particular areas, not including the Lower West Side and Hudson River Park, Harlem River area, a spot in New Jersey and a spot in Staten Island, but their initials of the area. So currently not affected. They said the future site locations are subject to any additional funding they're going to receive and additional studies they're doing.
Thanks, Nick. So Nick literally just started a couple of weeks ago, sat in on these meetings for us. He worked with the District of Columbia. He did a lot of work on waterfront properties, and he worked for the mayor's office there. So while he is an attorney, he also has that lens of public engagement and everything else like that. So we welcome Nick.
Nice to meet you guys.
Welcome. Okay, last official sort of thing to talk about is the exciting topic of meeting logistics for the next 2 meetings. The next meeting is scheduled for September 25th, and then we got one scheduled for Thursday, December 4th. I wanted to discuss the September date with you in particular. I mean, everyone may have their calendars here, but We've got Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur in vicinity of that timing. We have at least one member who cannot make the 25th, and we're guessing that there might be more. So we could potentially move the meeting to the previous week, September 16th, 17th, or 18th, or shift it to the following week, that is September 29th or 30th. We can send this around, but if anyone has immediate feedback for us now, that's always handy.
That's what you put, again, we don't need everybody, right?
So, and yeah, the other alternative is keeping as is, so that's.
It's right now, it's the 25th, September 25th,
You only like the 30th is not good for me.
but not the 30th.
Rosh Hashanah ends on Wednesday.
That's,
So you know.
that can,
Yeah, no, we know, but
Okay.
there's
People take them.
it's often a difficult time of year for us to get people to the meeting, so. We'll send this around to people, that would be helpful.
Yeah, send around your options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finally, you received the first quarter financials, from Senator Zubri, I think as part of your board handout. Total operating revenues thus far, this year in the first quarter are 10.85 million, and net operating expenses combined with capital maintenance and maintenance collecting is 9.34 million. And unless anyone has any questions or comments, now I'm hoping that we can have some discussion in executive session about some real estate and litigation topics. Anything else?
move to,
Oh,
So we did this,
yeah.
It's after the
Alright.
into executive session.
Okay, so no further business, right? And a request that the directors move into executive session to discuss pending real estate and litigation matters, and that we adjourn the public portion of the meeting. The executive session will not include any action items for approval by the directors. May I please have a motion to move into executive section and adjourn the public portion of today's meeting?
so moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
I.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the motion's approved. Thank you. The public portion of this meeting is now adjourned. The trust will now stop its Zoom live recording, and the directors will now meet in executive session. Thank you.
Then that's how it works. You're welcome.
Can I call you back in 5 minutes?